Ron, how's your bye week?
It was good. It was good. It was good to get away, good to kind of enjoy a little free time. And, I know a lot of our guys did the same thing. We had several guys take an opportunity to get away from football, and it was kind of nice to see everybody back in town and getting ready to go.
Do
What do you see
anything
about the rest
especially
of the
fun
league?
or interesting?
Well, other than do a little fishing and took the dog out and let him run out in a huge field, let him go nuts. No, it was very calm. It was calm.
What do you see about the rest of the league, just watching games and everything? It seemed like the Panthers, as hot as you guys are on, you didn't hear a lot about them.
No, and that was kind of interesting. But there's a lot of good games that were played yesterday. A lot of wet games played, and it's amazing to watch it though. I mean, it really was. It was exciting. A lot of good football. I was pretty fired up about it.
Ron, do you have a plan for Cam yet?
Well, no, because for the most part, Cam's going to continue his rehab. I mean, he's done a great job. He's be with the trainers. He'll be out there doing the things that he needs to do as he progresses through. I mean, we're not, as I told you guys last week, we're not putting any pressure on Cam. He's done a great job doing the things that we've asked of him. He's gone above and beyond as far as working with our quarterbacks and helping them along the way. And he's just going to continue. I mean, until I get something else, given to me by the trainers and the doctors, he'll continue to do his program.
So to clarify, we'll see him out there, but he'll be working on the
You
side
might see him, you might not,
Yeah.
but he's going to be with the trainers, doing his rehab, doing the things that he's supposed to be doing. And just so everybody knows, Kyle will start this week as we go forward.
How hard has it been keeping Cam on that program? Because you've been with him his entire career,
Right.
and you know how he wants
No,
to
Cam,
go.
as I've said, Cam has been tremendous. He's done exactly what's been asked of him. He's done the things that he's needed to do to rehab and go through this. And it's been very difficult on him. Here's a guy that's a very competitive young man, but at the end of the day, we've got to be smart. We've got to make good decisions going forward. And as things progress, we'll let you guys know.
Ron, obviously early in the week, but any thought on as to whether he might travel with y'all or anything like that?
That's a little bit ahead of us. We'll find out again as this week progresses. And as I said, he'll be with the trainers.
Two-part question for you, Ron. One, do you expect to get Trey Turner back this week?
We'll see. Right now, they've got a little bit of a workout coming up, and we'll get an opportunity to see where some of the guys are that were coming off some of the nicks that we had last week. Hoping to see Trey move around a little bit more than he has in the past. It's just been tough on him. The high ankle sprain has been, one of those things. It's true for every player in this league that gets a high ankle sprain.
And second, Darrell Williams seems to kind of have morphed into a swing man. Maybe something you guys knew he could do, maybe a little unexpected where he's had to be. How's he?
No, Darrell's one of those guys that has shown us some position flexibility, being able to play guard, being able to play tackle, being able to play right tackle, left tackle. And, he's the kind of guy that that you've got to find a place to play him. Right now, he's playing right guard for us, and we'll continue to go that way until we see something different.
Ron, has Greg cleared the concussion protocol yet, and how's he coming
He's
in his
still
rehab?
progressing in the protocol. You have to go through the steps, and as he progresses in the steps, he's still in it. So until I've gotten any further on that, he's still in the protocol.
Ron, this is, would you say, Kyle Allen's most difficult test yet?
Yes, and not just his, but ours. This is a very good football team we're going to be playing against. I mean, they're 6-0 for a reason. When you put the tape on, you see a lot of good things that they do. They're very well coached. I have a tremendous amount of respect for what Kyle does. I've got an opportunity to coach against him, got an opportunity to watch the things that he's done. And like I said, this will be a very good test for our football team.
What do you see from the 49ers? I mean, what has impressed you on tape?
Well, first of all, they're very active offense. They do a lot of shifting and movement around, stuff like that. We've just got to be able to stick to our rules and play the final formations. Defensively, they're an attacking, aggressive style of defense. You have 5 first-rounders up front. That tells you that they've got some good quality athletes. And then their secondary, I think they're pretty good. I mean, they're a solid football team. It's like I said, it's gonna be a good challenge for us.
Coach, with the injuries that you faced over the first 6 weeks of the season, Cam Newton, Trey Turner, Dante Jackson, what does it say about your team that you're 4-2 coming out of the bye, heading into the second half of the season?
Well, just so that our guys are resilient, and I think we're kind of understanding who we are and what we can potentially be as a football team. I mean, we're still a ways away. We've got a lot of work to do. And that's one of the neat things about having to bye where we had it after 6 games, getting an opportunity to go back and evaluate it. There's some things that tell us that, we still have room to grow. I think we can play better football. I think we can be a better football team. I just think that we're headed in the right direction. We're not where we want to be.
Ron, you had mentioned that with Dante, it was sort of a last-minute thing with him in London, how tested at the cold may have tighten things up or whatever, would you anticipate him being able to get back this week, and how much
We'll see.
of a boost would that be?
Again, today's a good indicator for us as far as what we can expect from our guys for tomorrow's practice. You know, one of the reasons we're bringing them in today and getting a little bit of workout in is, you know, too much time off has not been a good thing for a lot of teams, you know, in terms of guys all of a sudden going from 0 to 60. You know, take a guy and expect him to come all of a sudden and ramp it back up right away. So we wanted to bring the guys in, get them a chance to stretch their legs, get a little bit of workout in before we start practice tomorrow.
Coach, it's kind of gotten lost in the Cam and Kyle discussion, but how have you seen Will Greer grow this season
Very
and
well.
step into that number 2 role?
It's been really cool to watch Will, and it's funny because, you know, he does a lot of the show team stuff for us, and a lot of times the coaches have a tendency to circle where they want the ball thrown, and I told Will, I said, don't do that. That's the worst thing you could do because now you're no longer reading, you're just anticipating when to throw it. I said, I want you to go out there and try and beat us. And he's done a great job. He's given great pictures. You know, when we've needed him to scramble around or step up into the pocket, stuff like that, he understands what we're looking for. And I think that's really helping him in terms of his development. I know Coach Sterner and both Coach Sterners, Norv and Scott, have both said that they like his decision-making. They like how he's speeding up his footwork. They think his delivery's been a lot better, too, and he's shown some great arm strength in some of the throws that he's made against our defense. And it's only going to make him better, you know, because he's competing against our ones. And again, as I said, I don't want him doing things robotically. I want him to go out there and do what quarterbacks do. And that's what we've always had. You know, Derek Anderson did that for so many years for us. And then last year, both Taylor and Kyle had the opportunity to do that. And that's one of the things I tell them was, you know, don't do that. You know, teach yourself how to be a good quarterback, and they've done a great job.
Have you seen any changes in him as he's gone from not being active the first 2 weeks to being a player?
Well, you see his confidence, and you see it because of practice. You know, you can see him build up. It's kind of cool because all of a sudden Norv will walk up to me and says, "Hey, I'm going to pull Kyle out and have Will run out there and take a couple snaps." So we'll sit there and say, "Oh, Kyle's, you know, something wrong with his helmet." So, you know, so he runs out there, he'll take a couple snaps in practice, and it's Nor's way of keeping him involved and making sure he's paying attention as to what's happening out there.
Ron, have you seen any of the quarterbacks back since you've been back from the bye, and had any conversations with them just about the plan this week?
No. Like I said, we were up in meetings, and then I just had my team meeting with them and had an opportunity to say hello to most of them, but haven't really opportunity to sit down and talk. But again, you know, I think everybody understands and knows the situation.
When you think of delicate situations as far as how you're having to handle Cam right now, how would you rank what you're having to do right now?
Well, other than having to answer you guys' questions, I think it's been pretty smooth. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, all I can do is just tell you guys where we are with him, what the trainers have told me, tell you that, you know, he's done his job, he's done exactly what we've needed from him, and we'll continue to go forward until things change.
And there was a report over the weekend linking you guys to a certain receiver. I know you can't talk about another team's receiver, but is that, in terms of the trade deadline coming up, is that a position you all would potentially look to fortify?
Well, that's something you better ask to Marty as far as that's concerned. But I will tell you, man, I was obviously disconnected because I didn't hear that. I really didn't, Joe. Like I said, I went and did a little fishing and was out in the countryside enjoying it. Somebody might have told you I was in Shiloh, North Carolina, wherever that is.
Off the grid.
Hey, Ron, do you remember back when Greg Van Roten first came on you guys' radar and what he did, what it took for him to actually stick here?
You know, the interesting about Greg was I remember the workout, I remember watching him and just seeing how smart he was. I know Coach Maska really raved about his work ethic. And so when you start hearing that from the position coaches, I do tend to watch those guys just to see exactly, you know, if that's really what's going on. And it's really cool to see a guy that comes in and works hard and picks things up very quickly. Once we had a guy like that, it was good to see. I do remember, I'm trying to remember the game, but we had, I don't think Khalil played that game. I think Tyler started that game. Something happened to our right guard, and we put him in, and Greg had to play several snaps against Ndamukong Suh, and he did a nice job. He competed, he battled against Suh, and that was impressive. I mean, when you go back and look at the tape, and I think it was the 2017 season. I believe it was the 2017 season, and that's really kind of new. I thought to myself, boy, we got something kind of good there because Greg can play both guard positions, but he's also a center. And just knowing that, that, again, position flex is very important to us.
Seems like having a couple of those types of guys who kind of come in and they don't get a lot of attention. They don't, have the high dollar contracts or anything, but they do what they're supposed to do. You need, it seems like, one or two of those guys at every phase of the ball.
You do. You need a number of them, actually, just because of the way the salary cap is structured now. So when you find a guy like that, a gem, a diamond in the rough, that's great to have. It really is. And, you can work those guys and they can kind of develop into the player you need them to be. And hopefully you can get them re-signed and get them taken care of so you can have them for a while.
Not as it pertains to any specific player, but how do you sort of approach the trade deadline in general? How far out do you start looking? What are the conversations?
I'll be honest
like?
with you, I've never really paid attention to it until the general managers come to me and talk to me about it. My first couple of years, Marty has asked me a couple things about it. I know Dave Gettleman and I talked about a couple of things. So again, until it's brought to me, I'm really just focusing on our team. I'm focusing on our next opponent. It's been an interesting couple of days just trying to watch the 49ers and get a chance to look at them. Yesterday was kind of a bummer because the weather was so bad. But again, you do see some of the things that they do very well.
The NFL trade deadline used to not really be a thing. There wasn't much activity. Why do you think it's picked up here in the last few years?
Well, I think a little bit people see how an impact of a certain type of player can really help your team. I mean, you look at some of the things like yesterday with the Rams. I think they got what they were looking for. Baltimore benefited from their trade. So, you see those types of players, those quality players can make an impact. So who knows? Then. And again, if a guy fits in your cap, then it makes sense for the team if you're really looking for that kind of guy to do it.
Ron, you imagine you did some self-scouting, but what have you seen Kyle grow the most since taking over?
Well, I think it's just his comfort level in what we're doing. The more and more he gets to work with the group, the more and more he plays, the more comfortable he gets, the more his confidence is built. You see good, quick decisions. You see quick feet, and that's been huge. And probably the one thing I appreciate, knock on wood, is that he's learning to protect the ball better.
You talked about guys that maybe don't get the headlines like GVR. Did you expect with Dante Jackson out, Ross Cockrell you knew he was going to step up and play the way he played. Did you expect him to be tested as much as he was?
Not necessarily tested as much as he was, but it's one of those things. We brought him in last year hoping to get that guy. We saw that guy in training camp until he got hurt, and that was so unfortunate because here's a guy that just comes in and just puts his nose to the grind and just gets after it. And so having him come back was really cool. I mean, here's a guy that just works hard and is the type of guy that you want on your football team. To see him tested the way it was, no. But to see him make plays, it doesn't surprise me because the young man's a student of the game. He works very hard at his craft. If you come and watch, you'll see he is one of the first ones here, but he most certainly has definitely been one of the last ones to leave. I mean, I come down around 5:45, 6 o'clock, and he's finishing up whatever he needs to do, and that to me is very impressive on his part.
With Dante coming back, does that give you a chance to maybe match up?
It gives us a chance to mix and match guys, and we'll see the best way to use guys. And again, I think Ross has earned an opportunity to continue to play too, so we've got to find ways to get all those guys on the field because they're all good football players.
A lot of times when we talk about creativity, we're referring to the offense, but on defense, especially with such versatile personnel, seems like you guys this year have the ability to be more creative in the things you do. How big of a part has Eric Washington played in that specific?
I'm glad you asked, because Eric's done some really good things, and we know that his trademark really has been the things that he does with the rush and with the pressures and blitzing. He's got a good feel for how to attack protections, which has been very, very good for us, especially with the pass rush. I mean, he gets with Sam Mills, and they talk about the best types of attacks that we can use, the best types of stunt games that we can use, how those stunt games affect our run gaps. And then we talk about blitzes and pressures. We'll really get into those on our second day of game planning, and he has a feel, which way the protections are going to go. How do we want to attack those protections? So he's done a nice job in terms of that and in terms of setting the table and helping me, as we go forward. And I think it's been very good.
Good.
Good. Cool. Thank you, guys.